What is good, Tesla family? It's Ray J back with another video. And in this one, I want to break down what's going on with Tesla stock, what you should be watching for moving forward. I'm also going to talk about the big jobs report that just came out and how this is affecting the markets. Some very important levels to be watching for as we approach major support. Before I break anything down, all this information, before I get into any more details, let me just mention a couple of things. I am firstly not a financial planner, so take nothing I say as financial advice. And also, if you guys can, please check out the Moomoo link, which is down below and in the description. If you sign up for Moomoo, the link down below, and deposit $100 into the account, you're guaranteed up to 5 free stocks. Now, this offer ends in just about 9 days, so check it out before they run out. Anyways, let's break down what's going on with the market so far. So, I just wanted to mention that we had some big economic data. If you look at the data right now, you can see that the non-farm payrolls came out a bit hotter than expected, or like substantially hotter than expected. Unemployment was as expected at 3.8%. Everything else was very close to expectations except for the private non-farm payrolls. So right here at 263,000, that was hotter than expected too. And the overall non-farm payrolls were at 336,000. That's much hotter than what the forecast was, around this 150,000 area. So what does that tell us? Well, the market and futures are dropping pretty substantially because of the strong jobs report, which sent yields higher. And yields are now at the highest they've been in 16 years. And this is another big recessionary indicator and another uh, piece of evidence that there's going to be a major piece of contraction coming to the economy. So with all this going on, right, and this potential downside coming to the market because of this, right, this is also leading to the entire sectors out there just to be affected very similarly. Payrolls increases by about 336,000 in September. That is much more than expected. So I just wanted to warn you about that. And finally, we have a very weak start to October so far. People are looking at the jobs reports, which are still looking relatively strong. And besides that, there's some news coming out about the SEC suing Elon Musk. I mean, it's just a bunch of madness. And finally, I just want to mention that GM has fallen after, once again, the automaker has contended with a continued drag from the UAW. This is continuing as we're continuing to see more and more things change to the company and these strikes just continuing. But anyways, I want to now focus more on the stock market and break down what the charts are telling us. So we're going to start off with Tesla stock. Let's just switch over to Tesla right now. As far as Tesla goes, guys, it's looking bearish as of right now. And this is very interesting because we were talking about this possible head and shoulders playing out yesterday, but I couldn't guarantee anything as it depended on the data. And the data has confirmed that there's downside for the markets. And you could see that this head and shoulders is now like forming very nicely, and this could lead to more downside. So be very careful. Now, as for Tesla, if Tesla tries to see buyers step in, it could try to make its way back up to 255, but as of right now, there's no signal of that. If 252.5 breaks, you're going to be watching 250 as critical support. If 250 fails us, you're going to be watching this 247.5 area as the next critical level for Tesla. And if that breaks, we have this confluence of support right here, very close to this 244 level. Tesla has to hold that. If it breaks 244, this thing is going to come sinking all the way down pretty hard, in my opinion. So watch these levels very carefully. We're currently at 252. We're going to see if buyers can defend this area or not. If they fail, let's watch 250. And if 250 fails, let's watch 247. Now, right now, at the time I'm recording this, Tesla's looking weak, just like the market. So there is a risk of downside as we have this head and shoulders, and we have many indicators suggesting potential downside. Yesterday, when I was making my video, I mentioned that we had this bearish divergence on Tesla, which made me a little concerned. And that is once again playing out. You know, Tesla's down almost 3% already. So it just goes to show that sometimes or oftentimes these indicators can play out. We also had a possible like head and shoulders if you wanted to interpret this way, which could lead to more downside. So there is a risk of downside for Tesla. I want everyone to be prepared for that. And I just wanted to warn you about this. We're about to get a bearish cross in the PPO, so the downside indicators are there for now. Now, talking about SPY, this is actually more critical than Tesla because we're at a very big zone right now. SPY we touched 420. We just touched it. We actually hit 19.5. We're barely holding 420 right now. If you look at this chart carefully, what happened was over the last 2 days, we made an attempt to bounce. We were trying to break this resistance. You could see it was trying really hard. This green trend line was our major support, which became resistance. We wanted to break it. We tried and tried and we failed. It ended up failing miserably. It failed to get that breakout. And now it's coming right back down into its channel. So right now, we have resistance. Well, the strong resistance is going to be around 422. There's also some resistance at 421. 422 flat is going to be a very important level. And we're currently at 420.8. For support, you want to be watching 420 flat. 420 is going to be key. If 420 fails us, we're going to be watching 418 as the next critical level. 420 is just barely holding right now. The bar is just barely stepped in. So be very careful, guys. This is looking very weak. So we're testing this, resistance now. This white trend line is acting as resistance. Watch this carefully. We'll see if we reject or not. So levels to watch for are 421 as resistance. If we continue to hold above this, the high from yesterday is around like 421.3. I'm sorry, the low from yesterday is 421.3. Then we have 422 coming after that. Even if we do try to make our way up a little bit, I wouldn't fully trust this because this is a very, very red candle and we're looking very weak. So there's a risk of us potentially coming back down to 420. So be very, very careful because of the jobs report. If 420 fails us, 418 is going to be on the table. So be very, very careful. For the QQQ, same thing is going on. We're barely testing 355. If we retest 356, that's going to be resistance. Above that, we have 356.5. Two resistance levels, 356 is going to be critical. If you reject off of that, there's a risk of it potentially coming back down towards this 355 support. If that fails us, there's a risk of it coming all the way back down to 354. So watch all of that very carefully. If 354 fails us, there's 353.5, 351 below that, and then potentially even 350 as time goes on. The QQQ is looking a bit weaker. It's trying to rebound just a little bit, but still not looking that strong. So watch this 355 area very, very carefully. We will see if support could hold or not. If it breaks, 354 is a real possibility, and it is looking a bit weaker, so be very careful. 355 is what it's barely holding right now, so watch that all very carefully. For Nvda, this is also looking weaker. It's barely at 441.45. If we break below this, you're going to be watching this 440 support. If that fails us, watch 437. If that fails us, this is where we have this trend line right here as support. If that breaks, this thing is going to start sinking even lower towards 433. If we try to rebound, watch 442 as resistance and 444, not to mention 446. Now it's looking a bit weaker because Nvidia came all the way down to 440 and we're barely at 441, so it may kind of trade sideways for now. But watch 440 as support and 437 because there's a risk of it potentially coming down. Finally, for Aapl stock, this is also looking very mixed because Aapl ended up dropping all the way down to about 172.6. It bounced off of that, and now we're testing 173.5. So we're not looking insanely horrible on Aapl, but it's not holding up the best at the same time. I would say that if you want to turn bullish, you want to see if it could get back above 174. As of right now, it hasn't really done that. It's just trading kind of flat in the 173s. And if we break below 173, watch 172.6, then 172 flat. So we're going to be watching these levels very carefully. There's a risk of downside looking at the current trend. It's trying to rebound a bit, but like I said before, be very careful because we still have this big red candle. And we're going to be watching to see how it reacts to these support levels. So watch it very carefully. We'll see if Aapl can try to get back above 174 or not. If it does so, then there's a chance it's going to hold up. If it fails, then it is what it is, right? There is a risk for downside. So watch these levels that I just called out and we'll see how it moves for today. Anyways, I just wanted to mention one more thing very carefully. For the VIX, this is green. It's up 7% now, and it's approaching the 20 area. We're getting very close to 20. If it keeps going, this could just continue to uptrend and slow the market down because of the market potentially cooling off. That's why the VIX is like this. SQQQ is up. The dollar index is continuing to pop. It's at 107. If it breaks this, could go higher. So be very careful. And last but not least, it's on a strong uptrend still. What else is on a big uptrend would be the 10-year Treasury yield testing 49. It's still looking strong, so be very, very careful. This is looking very strong right now, so this could lead to more downside for the market. So just be very careful and just be prepared for anything. All right. So once again, for Tesla, it's looking a bit more bearish. We're going to be watching these supports very carefully. We're going to be watching to see how Tesla holds up. And don't forget, there's a possible head and shoulders developing on Tesla. So there is, in my opinion, a risk of downside if it ends up breaking these key levels. it is still not looking the best. So be careful on Tesla, guys. Do what you have to do, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Thank you, and peace out.